Where you at, where you at? Eureka.
So first of all, I'm going to cut off the tag of the materials. You have to do that so that it doesn't show after you're through making the dress. And then I'm going to give a 1-inch sewing allowance to the top part of the skirt. And I'm going to draw a horizontal line. And that's going to mark where the waist is going to start. Then the waist measurements I'm using is 28, and divided by 4 is 7. A 1-inch dart allowance and a 1-inch sewing allowance. I'm going to measure from the waist 9 inches down, and that's going to mark where the hip measurement will start. Then my hip measurement was 40 divided by 4, making it 10, and a 1-inch sewing allowance. Then you can also refer to my previous videos on how to make a pencil skirt. So I'm going to measure the length of my skirt, and it's going to be 17. How I got this measurement was I measured from my waist to above my knee, because that is where I wanted the second half of the skirt to start from. And the length of my skirt was 17, and I'm just placing the marks there. I'm drawing a horizontal line. And then I'm going to give a 1-inch sewing allowance for when I join the flay to the pencil skirt. So my hip measurement was 10, and moving 1 inch from that it's going to make it 9, and I'm going to add a 1-inch sewing allowance, and that's for the knee. So I finally cut out my front block, and now I want to cut off my back block, and I left a 1-inch zip allowance. So I'm just using the front block as a pattern to cut out my set. Okay, taking the measurement of my knee, which was 10, and that is going to be the top circumference of my flay skirt. So I'm going to measure 28 inches, because that's how long I want the flay to be. So 28 inches, and then fold it down. So that is 28 inches folded down. And then I'm cutting off the tag again of the material, because I do not want it to show after I'm through making the dress. Then I'm going to fold it over again. So that means the material was folded 4 times. Okay, so that's like the material is on fold 4 times. And then okay, now I'm going to divide that my measurements, the 10 inches I had earlier before, by 2, and that is 5 inches, and I'm going to place that measurement and mark it. And then the next step is to place the length of my flay skirt, and it was 24 inches, and then I added a 1-inch sewing allowance, making it 25. So the length of my flay skirt was 25 inches. Okay, and I'm just going to cut out the top part and then the bottom part, and then I have the front part of my flay skirt. Okay, so I want this flay skirt to be very full, so I'm going to cut out 2 flays. Okay, is it 2 flays or 2 flay pieces? Okay, so I'm going to cut out 2 flay pieces since I want it to be very full. So what I'm just going to do now is repeat the same step, fold the material over 28 inches, and then use that previous piece to cut out my second piece. And what I'm doing right here is cutting the piece for the lining. This is totally optional, but since I want my dress to be very okay. So I'm looking for my scissors, found it. So now I'm cutting out the lining piece. So I'm going to cut out 2 pieces also of the lining. Okay. Okay, I'm also repeating, trying to cut out the second piece to, like I said earlier, with the rest of my lining material. I need to get more. Okay, place the front block. Oh yeah, and then I made the lining piece 1.5 inch shorter than the actual fabric. Okay, since I wasn't going to, there was no need for me to hem the lining piece. The lining piece. I made it 2 inches. 1.5 inches shorter than the original. That's the actual Ankara fabric I was using. Okay, so now I'm placing my dots on my pencil skirt. I marked the bottom of the skirt. That's important, guys, so you don't put the dots at the bottom of your skirt. That's happened to me a million times. So I'm placing the dots for 4.5 inches from the middle, and I want it to be 5.5 inches long. Oh, 6 inches long because of the 1 inch sewing allowance I left earlier. Okay, and I'm marking that, doing that on the other side for 4.5 inches from the middle and 5.5 inches long. Repeating the same thing on the back piece, making it 6 inches long, 5 inches from the middle. Just don't forget to watch the previous video on how to make a pencil skirt. You know, it shows in details how to place the dots. I'm just lining the bottom of my skirt, 5 inches from the zip line, and 6 inches long that. Okay, just going to do that quickly. Okay, then I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the lining fabric of the pencil skirt. So now I've sewn my darts, and I'm just showing you the front dart, and I've ironed it. Always iron as you sew, guys. Okay, so I've sewn it and I've ironed it, and I'm measuring to make sure that I still have the 1 inch sewing allowance on both sides. Okay, so refer to my previous videos on how to make a pencil skirt. So now I've joined the front back to the back block using a 1 inch sewing allowance. And now I'm going to move on to the flay part of the skirt. Now I'm just going to join the front piece and the back piece on one side. That's all, right on right, and just join it on one side. And I'm going to attach, that's the final step, attach the flay piece to the pencil piece, and you're almost practically done. Okay, so after this step, I'm also going to repeat this same step again on the lining piece. So I'm matching my seam to the middle of my pencil skirt. So I'm matching the seam of the flay to the middle of the pencil skirt to make it neater. And I'm pinning around the knee of the pencil skirt to the top circumference of the flay skirt. Okay, also repeat the same step for the lining fabric. So I lost a lot of footage and I didn't show the final part of the yoke skirt, but after I joined the flay skirt to the pencil skirt, I then put the zip at the back with the 1 inch zip allowance, and then I joined the flay skirt to the lining to the actual fabric.
Find table space to say a social grade.